The message came from the stars. It was not a greeting. It was not a request. It was a command. In the dark of night, as most of Earth slept, satellites caught the strange transmission. It was pure data at first, lines of code, mathematical structures no human had written. But then the code formed words. Words in every language of Earth, as if the sender already knew them all. The message said, humanity will submit. Protocols are attached. Comply, or be erased. There was no signature. No name. Only cold instructions, rules on how humans must live, what they must build, how they must serve. It was not a negotiation. It was ownership. Whoever sent it believed they already owned Earth. In secret, leaders of nations met. Some wanted to hide the truth, fearing panic. Others argued that people deserved to know. But while they debated, more transmissions came. They grew harsher. They spoke of punishment if compliance was delayed. They described weapons, cosmic weapons, beyond anything human science had ever imagined. And then came the final line in the third transmission. You have 7 cycles. Then we arrive. No one knew what a cycle meant. 7 days? 7 months? 7 years? But one thing was clear, they were coming. Far above Earth, telescopes caught movement in deep space. Shadows in the dark. Shapes too far to study, yet massive enough to blot stars. They were on their way. In an underground facility buried beneath mountains, the highest council of human leaders gathered. No cameras. No press. Just the future of Earth decided by those who feared it most. A single voice broke the silence. It belonged to a scientist, old, thin, yet sharp as glass. They believe we will bow, he said quietly. They believe we will kneel like every species before us. But they do not understand. We are human. The word human carried weight. It was not pride, not yet. It was defiance. It was the spark of something dangerous. Around the world, militaries went on high alert. Factories shifted from commercial work to weapons production. Engineers designed technologies that had only been theories last week. Nations that had been enemies for centuries now worked as allies. No one argued about borders anymore. No one spoke of politics. The only goal was survival. But still, fear lingered. The unknown enemy had crossed the void of space. They had mastered languages, encryption, and threats with terrifying ease. What else had they mastered? Could bullets, missiles, and steel stop something that commanded stars? On the 6th night after the first message, a 4th transmission arrived. It was not a warning. It was a demonstration. High above the Pacific Ocean, a satellite blinked. Then it vanished. No explosion. No trail. Just gone, like a candle snuffed out by invisible fingers. A second satellite followed. Then a third. The message that came after was short. Obey. Or share their fate. For a moment, Earth trembled. Humanity had seen war, famine, and disaster before, but never extinction. Never a power so absolute. Then came Earth's reply. It was not sent in fear. It was sent in steel and fire. In a bunker somewhere in Alaska, a man in a dark uniform pressed a button. Across the world, engines roared to life. Machines that had never been tested, weapons that were still being built, ships designed to fly not through air, but through the void of space. Humanity would not wait to be enslaved. Humanity would fight. But the enemy had yet to arrive. No one had seen their faces. No one knew their true form. Were they machines? Beasts? Beings of light? Or something worse, something beyond understanding? In the silence between transmissions, the Earth itself seemed to hold its breath. Across cities, people looked up at the night sky and wondered, which star carried their doom? And could humanity really stop it? Somewhere in deep space, beyond the black, something moved again. A faint pulse of light, distant, but coming closer. The first scout ship had entered the edge of the solar system. And with it, the countdown began. The first scout ship moved like a shadow across the stars. It was not large, but its design was alien, smooth, black, and silent. No thrusters, no lights, no signals. It simply glided, like a predator that had already chosen its prey. Earth's telescopes tracked it. Radars followed its course. Military command centers lit up across the globe. But the alien vessel ignored everything. It did not hide. It did not threaten. It simply approached as if nothing on Earth could stop it. In a command bunker buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains, a general spoke with a voice that carried no fear, only steel. Target lock confirmed. Weapons hot. If it enters Earth's orbit, we fire. But a scientist beside him shook her head. No. If we fire first, we declare war before we even know what we're facing. What if this is only a probe? The general stared at her. A probe that just erased 3 of our satellites? The scientist had no answer. Across the globe, people prepared. Families stocked food, water, anything they could store. Soldiers drilled in dark hangars, their equipment shining under harsh lights. Engineers worked without sleep, racing to finish experimental weapons, railguns, energy cannons, even prototype ships meant to leave Earth's atmosphere. Every nation, every factory, every lab now served one purpose: survival. And then, without warning, the alien ship stopped. It hung in space above the dark side of the moon, silent as stone. For hours it did not move. Then a new transmission came. But this time, it was not data. It was a voice. The voice was calm, smooth, almost human. But there was no emotion in it. No warmth. No mercy. You have 6 cycles left. Prepare yourselves for submission. Resistance is illogical. Compliance ensures survival. The world froze. Some governments wanted to answer with words. Others wanted to answer with missiles. But before anyone could decide, the alien ship sent something else, a burst of energy. A pulse that reached Earth in seconds. It was not an attack. It was a scan. Every electronic device flickered. Phones, computers, even cars. Hospitals saw machines flash strange symbols before returning to normal. Satellites caught images of cities glowing faintly, as if an invisible light had passed through concrete, steel, and flesh itself. The aliens had just mapped the entire planet, every structure, every weapon, every human. The message came again. We see you. We know you. 6 cycles. In the deepest corners of Earth's military complexes, fear hardened into resolve. The alien ship had scanned Earth, but Earth had learned something too. The ship was not invincible. Sensors had picked up a faint energy signature. Some kind of shield. Something that could, maybe, be broken. In a hidden lab beneath the Arctic ice, a small group of engineers studied the readings. Their leader, a woman with sharp eyes and a voice like ice, whispered, "They are not gods. They bleed energy. If it bleeds energy, it can die." But building a weapon strong enough to strike would take time. Time Earth did not have. On the second day of the alien ship's arrival, something strange happened. It released small objects, dozens of them, metallic spheres that scattered across the upper atmosphere like seeds. They were not weapons. They were eyes. Everywhere they hovered, watching. Over deserts, cities, oceans. Silent. Recording. Judging. And then came the fear no one spoke aloud. Were these just scouts? What will the main fleet look like? In a small desert base, a pilot stood beside a new kind of aircraft. It was sleek, experimental, designed to leave the atmosphere and fight in low orbit. No one had ever flown it in real combat. But the pilot smiled grimly. "If they're watching," he said, "let's give them something to watch." His craft roared to life and shot skyward, breaking the sound barrier and rising toward the black. The alien spheres swiveled, tracking him. One of them followed, climbing higher, faster. The pilot's voice crackled through the radio. "Command, I have visual. It's..." And then the signal went dead. From the ground, cameras saw the aircraft vanish. Not explode, not fall, just vanish like the satellites before it. The alien voice returned. 5 cycles. Somewhere deep in the military complex, the old scientist whispered the words that no leader wanted to hear. "They're not bluffing. They can erase us at will." But humanity was not ready to surrender. Not yet. Because far below the Arctic ice, something new was being built. A weapon designed not to fire bullets, not to launch missiles, but to tear a hole in the void itself. And it would be ready before the aliens arrived. Or Earth would die. The alien scout ship remained still above the moon. Silent. Watching. But the world below was far from silent. Cities prepared for war. Labs raced against time. Humanity's greatest minds worked to build weapons no one had imagined before. In the Arctic facility, the project continued day and night. Engineers called it Project Helios, a weapon not of missiles or lasers, but of pure energy, concentrated enough to pierce alien shields. It was untested. Dangerous. But if completed, it might give humanity its first chance to strike back. Inside the control room, Dr. Isla Reeves stared at the growing structure, a massive cannon buried beneath ice and steel. Her eyes were hollow from lack of sleep, but they burned with resolve. "They see us as prey," she whispered. "Let's show them teeth." But time was slipping away. The alien spheres, hundreds now, floated across the sky like dark stars. They hovered over cities, military bases, and power plants, recording everything. No one dared to shoot them. No one knew what would happen if one was destroyed. In a desert base in Nevada, soldiers tested railguns, firing long spears of metal at hypersonic speed. In orbit, human-made satellites were fitted with experimental plasma cannons. Naval fleets prepared massive rail batteries, hidden beneath ocean waves. Yet deep down, humanity knew, the real threat was not the scout ship. It was the fleet behind it. And then, on the 3rd cycle, Earth received a new transmission. This time, the alien voice was not calm. It was curious. "You build. You prepare. Why?" Others obeyed. Others knew their place. The message carried something darker, an echo of memory, as if the aliens were recalling the countless worlds they had conquered before. Worlds that had surrendered without a fight. But Earth was not like them. The response came not from a world leader, but from a pilot, the same man who had vanished days before. His voice erupted from military channels, distorted, weak, but human. "They are not invincible. I saw, inside, shadows, not machines, living things." And then his signal faded to static. The world froze. The pilot was alive, somehow, but trapped somewhere beyond human reach. Worse, his message suggested something terrifying. The aliens were living beings, vulnerable, perhaps even afraid. Dr. Isla Reeves stared at the signal logs. A fragment of alien data had come through with the pilot's voice. Strange coordinates, far beyond the moon, near the edge of the solar system. "Is that where their fleet is?" a general asked. Isla nodded slowly. "Or, where they're hiding something they don't want us to find." Plans changed. Humanity could no longer wait. Project Helios had to be completed faster. But the weapon needed more than energy, it needed a test target. And the only available one was the scout ship. In a daring move, a stealth drone was launched. It carried no weapons, only sensors. Its mission, to fly close to the alien ship and map its defenses. The drone glided through space, silent as a ghost, and for a moment, it seemed invisible. Then, without warning, the alien ship pulsed with light. The drone vanished. But this time, something different happened. The alien ship shuddered, just slightly, like a ripple across water. Sensors on Earth caught it. The pulse had not been perfect. The shield had flickered for a fraction of a second. Isla smiled for the first time in days. "They're not perfect. They can be hurt." Across the world, construction accelerated. Factories poured out components for Helios. Submarines carried energy cores to the Arctic. Scientists burned through nights, solving equations that should have taken years. But the aliens were not idle. On the fourth night, the spheres moved lower. They hovered only a few hundred meters above cities, casting long shadows. Their silent presence was a constant reminder. The countdown continued. Then, a new message came, different from before. It was not a warning. It was a story. The alien voice spoke of a world far away, a world that had once resisted, like Earth. They had built weapons. They had fought. They had burned their skies and seas. But in the end, they had been erased. Not one trace of them remained. The voice ended with a whisper. 4 cycles. The council met again, and for the first time, arguments erupted. Some leaders demanded surrender. Others called for an immediate strike. But Isla silenced them with one sentence. They want us to believe resistance is hopeless. That means they fear what happens if we keep trying. Her words sparked something, hope mixed with rage. Humanity had little time left, but it had one advantage the aliens did not understand: the human will to fight even when defeat seemed certain. Far beyond the moon, hidden near the cold edge of the solar system, faint shapes stirred. Massive. Silent. Waiting. The fleet was coming. And humanity had 4 cycles to prepare for a war it was not supposed to win. The countdown reached 4 cycles. Earth was no longer the same. Cities were no longer places of comfort, they had become fortresses. Factories worked 24 hours a day. Submarines carried energy cores beneath frozen seas. And deep under the Arctic ice, Project Helios neared completion. But time was running out. The alien spheres moved closer to the ground, hovering just above skyscrapers and military bases. They made no sound, but people swore they could feel them, like cold eyes staring through skin and bone. In the Arctic facility, Dr. Isla Reeves stood before the Helios cannon. It was a monster of steel and glowing coils, built to channel power greater than any weapon before. Yet, it had never been fired. No one knew if it would work. General Kane entered, his uniform dusted with snow. His voice was low, steady. "We have a target. The scout ship. If Helios works, we hit it. If not..." He didn't finish the sentence. Isla didn't need him to. If Helios failed, Earth would have nothing left strong enough to fight. Far above, the alien ship shifted position for the first time in days. It glided closer to the moon, its shadow cutting across lunar craters. The spheres around Earth seemed to pulse brighter, like a warning. Then, without a message, without a threat, the alien ship began to descend toward Earth. Command centers across the world erupted in alarms. Fighters scrambled to launch. Anti-orbital weapons powered up. But the alien vessel was fast. Too fast. In the Arctic bunker, the lights flickered. Power surged into the Helios cannon. The air smelled of metal and ozone as energy built up, shaking the ground. Isla watched the screens, her fingers gripping the edge of the console. Helios at 70%, 80, 90. The alien ship crossed into high orbit, directly above the Pacific. For a moment, it seemed to pause, as if daring humanity to try. "Fire!" Kane shouted. The Helios cannon roared. From the Arctic ice, a beam of light tore through the night sky. White, pure, blinding. It crossed the void in seconds and struck the alien ship. The shield flared. For an instant, the alien vessel shimmered, its surface rippling like water. Then, a section cracked. A burst of flame erupted, blue, alien fire spilling into space. The world cheered. Across military channels, voices shouted in disbelief. "We hit it. Damage confirmed. They're not invincible." But the celebration lasted only seconds. The alien ship pulsed again, this time brighter, sharper. And then the sky burned. A wave of energy spread across the upper atmosphere, invisible to the eye but strong enough to knock out satellites, aircraft, and entire power grids. Cities went dark. Communications died. Even the Arctic base shook as lights blinked and machines sparked. When the static cleared, the alien voice returned. But now, it was not calm. It was angry. You dare strike us? You dare wound the heirs of Dominion? The words echoed across every device that still worked. The tone was cold and sharp, like a blade drawn across stone. And then the voice said the words no one wanted to hear. You have 3 cycles. The alien ship retreated back to the moon, its hull scarred but intact. Humanity had scored a victory, but not enough to win. Worse, the alien spheres now descended lower, drifting through streets and alleys, scanning faces, recording voices. People could see their reflections in the black glass-like surface. Isla stood in the bunker, staring at the readouts. Helios had worked, but barely. It needed more power, more precision, more everything. But they had only 3 cycles left. That night, something strange happened. One of the spheres fell, not destroyed, but malfunctioning. It landed in a remote mountain range, smoke rising from its surface. A team was sent to recover it, scientists, soldiers, and a single pilot in a stealth transport. They found the sphere cracked open, glowing faintly inside. But what they saw made them freeze. Inside the sphere was not a machine. It was a creature, small, pale, with eyes that reflected light like mirrors. It looked fragile, weak. But its gaze was old, ancient. The creature spoke, not with sound, but directly into their minds. Its voice was soft, almost sad. You should not fight. You will suffer as others did. Then its eyes dimmed, and it went still. Back in the bunker, Isla studied the remains of the alien device. It was far beyond human technology, but inside its core, she found something surprising: fear. Logs of energy spikes, irregular shield activity, and strange stress readings. The alien ship was not unshakable. It was worried. They bleed, she whispered again. And now, we know where. But before she could say more, alarms blared. Radar showed movement, massive movement, beyond the moon. The alien fleet was coming. The alien fleet had entered the solar system. It began with faint signals, whispers of movement beyond Neptune. Then telescopes caught shapes emerging from the dark. Dozens at first. Then hundreds. Their silhouettes blocked stars, their shadows stretched like predators across the void. Earth watched in silence as the armada grew. Some ships were small and sleek, built for speed. Others were massive, city-sized, carrying power that no human weapon could match. They moved in formation, silent, precise, unstoppable. In the Arctic facility, Project Helios was pushed to its limits. Engineers stripped safety systems, overloading the cannon to increase its destructive force. The weapon had to fire again, stronger, faster, deadlier. Dr. Isla Reeve stood before the screens, studying the alien fleet's trajectory. Her voice was steady, though her hands trembled slightly. They're not rushing. They're not afraid. They think this is over before it starts. General Kane leaned closer, staring at the growing swarm of signals. Then we'll teach them fear. But deep down, even he wondered, was that possible? The first strike. On the morning of the first cycle, before dawn touched the world, the alien fleet launched its opening move. A smaller craft, sleek, sharp, broke formation and descended toward Earth. It was fast, moving like lightning through space, and within minutes, it entered the upper atmosphere. Earth's defenses opened fire. Plasma cannons on orbiting satellites spat streams of blue light. Railguns on the surface launched metal slugs faster than sound. Guided missiles streaked upward like silver darts. The alien craft dodged most, but not all. A railgun strike clipped its wing, sending a ripple of sparks across its surface. A missile followed, detonating close enough to scar its armor. The world watched as the alien craft wobbled, then steadied, and escaped back into orbit. It was wounded, but alive. A message from the void. As humanity celebrated this small victory, the alien voice returned, colder than ever. You resist. You wound. But know this, pain you deliver is pain returned. Tenfold. Then the retaliation came. A beam of light, thin as a thread but brighter than the sun, lanced down from space. It struck an abandoned island base in the Pacific. The explosion swallowed the island whole, leaving nothing but boiling water and a rising column of steam. The message was clear. Next time, it won't be an empty target. Hope from the ruins. But humanity had gained something important. The damaged alien craft left behind fragments. Pieces of strange alloy, fused with alien energy, fell into the ocean near the impact site. Recovery teams raced to collect them. In a hidden lab beneath the ice, Isla studied the fragments. The material was strong, stronger than anything on Earth, but it showed signs of stress, like cracks in stone. Helios had hurt them before. It could do so again. But one strike would not be enough. They would need several. At once. She turned to Kane. We have to build more. Helios cannot be the only one. We need 3, 5, maybe more. Kane frowned. We barely built one. You want 5. Isla's gaze was sharp. We don't have a choice. The ghost transmission. That night, as the fleet moved closer, a strange signal interrupted military frequencies. It was faint, distorted, almost broken, but human. It was the pilot. The one who had vanished days ago. His voice was weak, as though dragged across static, but his words were clear. They are not united. Some fear what we are. Some want to see us fall. But not all. The signal cut, but not before coordinates flashed across the screen. Coordinates near one of the smaller alien vessels, trailing behind the main fleet. Isla stared at the data, her mind racing. Could this mean one of them is willing to help us? Kane shook his head. Or it's a trap. Maybe, Isla said softly, but maybe not. The decision. In a high-security meeting, the council argued bitterly. Some wanted to focus on building weapons. Others wanted to investigate the signal. But Isla proposed both. We need allies, even if they're not human. And we need firepower. If we gamble on only one, we lose. In the end, Kane agreed to send a stealth craft toward the coordinates. It would carry no weapons, only a small team. Their mission, contact, or confirmation of betrayal. The shadow of war. Far beyond, the alien fleet loomed closer. The largest ship, a colossal vessel shaped like a dark crescent, began to glow with strange symbols across its hull. Energy pulsed through its spine, power enough to destroy a continent. The alien voice returned one final time that night. 2 cycles. Prepare to be judged. The alien fleet was close now, so close that their dark shapes could be seen with the naked eye from Earth, moving like shadows across the stars. Their presence weighed on the world like a storm that refused to break. Only 2 cycles remained. In the Arctic facility, Project Helios burned brighter than ever, its coils glowing white-hot as engineers pushed the weapon to its limits. New power cores had been rushed from hidden bases, and 2 additional cannons were now being built in secret locations, one beneath the deserts of Nevada, the other hidden in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. But they were incomplete. They needed time, and time was running out. The mission to the unknown. The Council had approved the risky operation, sending a stealth craft toward the coordinates transmitted by the missing pilot. The craft, small and needle-shaped, slipped silently from Earth's atmosphere and glided toward the dark between stars. Inside, 3 people sat in silence. Captain Marlowe, a veteran pilot with nerves of steel. Dr. Elin Kaur, a linguist who had spent years studying alien signals. Lieutenant Voss, a soldier armed not with guns, but a mind designed for quick, hard choices. They moved without lights, without beacons, trusting only to stealth and luck. Hours passed before they saw it, a lone alien vessel, smaller than the others, trailing the fleet. It moved slowly, almost cautiously, as though it wanted to be seen. Captain Marlowe whispered through comms. Either this is a miracle, or a trap. The ship did not fire. It did not flee. Instead, a hatch opened, slowly, like an invitation. Contact. Against every protocol, the team entered. The interior was strange. Metal that looked alive, walls that pulsed faintly with light. At the center stood a figure, tall, thin, cloaked in shimmering fabric. Its eyes were bright silver, reflecting the humans like glass. And then, it spoke. But not in sound. The words echoed directly in their minds. You should not have come. But perhaps. You are different. Dr. Kaur stepped forward. Different how? The alien's gaze flickered. Others kneel. You build. You strike. You risk everything for the smallest chance to survive. It is unexpected. Voss narrowed his eyes. Then help us. The alien tilted its head, as though thinking. I cannot stop the heirs of dominion. But I can give you knowledge. From the walls, a faint light spread, forming shapes, schematics of alien shields, power cores, weak points. The information was overwhelming, but priceless. With it, humanity could strike with precision, not hope. The alien stepped closer, lowering its voice. But you must hurry. Some among us already see your defiance as contagion. Then, with sudden urgency, it gestured toward the hatch. Go. Before they sense my betrayal. Back on Earth. The team returned with the data. Scientists fed it into Helios and the other 2 cannons under construction. The readings were clear. Alien shields could be disrupted with precise bursts of electromagnetic energy, opening a gap long enough for a strike. It wasn't victory, but it was a chance. Meanwhile, across the world, humanity prepared for the greatest defense in its history. Warships gathered in fleets, railguns were mounted on orbital stations, and experimental fighters, craft that had been prototypes only weeks ago, were rolled onto runways. But even as hope rose, fear crept closer. The aliens strike back. That night, the alien fleet sent a smaller wave of ships, 5 vessels, toward Earth. They did not fire. They simply hovered in high orbit, sending a new message. One cycle remains. Kneel or burn. Then, without warning, one of the alien spheres descended over a major city. It released a pulse, not destructive, but terrifying. Every screen lit up with alien symbols, every device crackled with static, and for a brief moment, every human saw the same vision. A world burning. Oceans boiling. Cities crumbling to dust. A warning of what was coming. The final preparations. In the Arctic base, Isla stood before the Helios cannon. Its core hummed with unstable energy, the kind that could tear itself apart. But it was ready. The other 2 cannons would be ready by the next cycle. General Kane looked at her. When they come, we hit them with everything. No second chances. Isla nodded, her voice low but firm. Then we aim for the largest ship first. Because if the largest vessel fell, the fleet might falter. But if humanity failed, there would be no tomorrow. The last night. As the alien fleet drew closer, people across Earth stood on rooftops, fields and mountains, staring at the night sky. The stars seemed fewer now, replaced by dark shapes. And then, as the world held its breath, the alien voice spoke one final time before the coming battle. Tomorrow, judgment. The final cycle had come. The alien fleet loomed above Earth like a wall of shadow. Hundreds of ships, glowing faintly with alien energy, hung in silent formation. At their center, the largest vessel pulsed with light, preparing for something no human weapon had ever faced. In the Arctic, the Helios cannon hummed with dangerous power. Its twin counterparts, in Nevada and the Pacific, stood ready. Across the world, fleets of aircraft and warships waited for the signal. This would be humanity's last stand. The first wave. Without warning, the alien fleet moved. Dozens of smaller ships broke formation, descending toward Earth. Plasma shields shimmered around them, glowing like heat mirages. Railguns and plasma cannons opened fire from orbit, striking hard, but most shots bounced harmlessly from the shields. Then Helios fired. From beneath the ice, a blinding spear of energy cut through the darkness and slammed into one of the alien ships. Its shield flickered, cracked, and failed. The vessel erupted in blue flame, scattering debris across space. The Nevada cannon fired next. Another ship fell. The Pacific cannon followed, 2 down, then 3, then 4. Humanity's weapons had worked. The aliens were not untouchable. But the victory was brief. The counter-strike. The alien flagship pulsed. From its core, a wave of energy burst outward, so strong it shattered satellites and fried communications in seconds. The Nevada cannon went dark. The Pacific cannon followed, its coils sparking before exploding. Only Helios remained. And the fleet still numbered in the hundreds. The survivors' warning. In the chaos, a strange signal cut through the static. It was faint, broken, yet familiar. The missing pilot. His voice cracked with static but carried one last warning. Not all of them want this. But the heirs. The flagship controls them. Destroy it, and you break their hold. Isla's eyes locked on the radar. The flagship loomed like a mountain of metal and light, shields glowing brighter than the rest. "We hit it with everything," she whispered. "Every last shot. The final shot." Helios roared again, its beam tearing across space, striking the flagship. The shield blazed white, absorbing the blow, but sensors showed fractures spreading like lightning across glass. The alien fleet responded, focusing fire on the Arctic. Energy bolts rained down from orbit, carving through the ice, shaking the ground like an earthquake. The facility trembled, walls cracking, power lines sparking. "Recharge," Kane barked. "One more shot." Engines screamed as backup cores dumped every ounce of power into Helios. Lights flickered, alarms wailed, and heat built until the cannon glowed red. The alien flagship prepared its own strike, its core blazing brighter than the sun. Helios fired. The beam punched through the flagship's shield, shattering it, and tore deep into its hull. For a heartbeat, the massive ship hung in silence. Then it erupted, a blinding explosion rippling outward, shaking the fleet. The twist. But instead of fleeing, the alien ships froze. Their weapons powered down. Their lights dimmed. Slowly, one by one, they drifted, not toward Earth, but away. The voice returned, softer, different. "You have broken the chain. The heirs are no more. You have done what none dared." Then silence. The fleet turned, slowly at first, then faster, leaving the solar system behind. No attack. No vengeance. Just departure. The aftermath. Earth lay in stunned silence. Cities still stood. Humanity still breathed. Against all odds, they had survived. In the Arctic facility, Helios smoked and cracked, its core ruined beyond repair. But Isla didn't care. She stood in the ruined control room, staring at the fading lights in the sky. Kane joined her, his voice heavy but proud. "We won." Isla shook her head slowly. "No. We endured. Winning, that comes next." The final image. Weeks later, astronomers spotted something strange. One alien vessel, smaller than the rest, drifting back toward deep space. Not retreating, but watching. Perhaps a warning. Perhaps an ally. Either way, Earth was no longer the same. Humanity had proven it would not kneel. It would build. It would fight. It would rise. And among the stars, whispers began to spread. Of the world that fought back.